Alright, welcome to Mailmole. Mailmole is a 3D platformer about playing a mole that delivers mail, and after a year of working, gets to vacation only to the fear of everybody, which is to get mail and be told you have to come back. Because Peaceful Plaza is having some issues with some things and stuff, and Multi is the only one equipped with movement to be able to help them. So the main idea of each level is just kind of getting to the cannon that's at the end, and you'll see in a second kind of the movement that fuels the entire run and makes it really a lot of fun is chaining your jumps together with dashes to preserve your momentum and keep going, and kind of speeding through things using that movement. Doing like combinations of short jumps and long jumps to space out kind of where you want to go and cut corners and go through the levels really quickly. This is the tutorial where it's teaching us to do all the sprinting. So every time you hit the ground, you can do these little burrows. And while you're burrowing, you can charge your jump. There's a tutorial up there teaching you how to ground pound, but if you jump down there, you can skip it. Same thing with this, where it's trying to teach you that if you dash when you go towards boxes, boxes will break. You can go around that by jumping around the side and avoiding both those cutscenes. So, which is kind of why Batty was chasing after us, because cutscene never played, so Batty was a bit confused. So we received these reset codes because there's all these different towers that are now out of power that we need to go do the reset codes for. So as we collect more power cells from returning power to each of these areas, that'll unlock new cannons and new areas. The goal of any percent is to get 30 power cells, and after you get 30 power cells, the game will open up the final area for you. So each area has 4 power cells that it can give you. Also, when you complete an area and do all 4 levels, and it unlocks a race that can get you an additional power cell. So actually each level, or each area, gives you about 5, so... Not about, it is exactly 5. So, this first level is just finding these 3 buttons to raise these platforms. Unfortunately, there's no way to avoid hitting all 3 of them. The jump is just a little bit too high or too out of reach to get to, so we have to just wait here and go there. So very much this first area is fairly introductory. The first 2 levels are fairly basic, but the third one is kind of where we kick into some of the larger scale sort of skips you can do on levels and some of the quirks of the movement. But yeah, after each level we get shot out of a cannon back to Peaceful Plaza. So we're in Carrot Fields right now. There's 7 different areas, 7 areas, and then also the boss area at the end. And collecting these power cells also broken up by boss fights that we'll be seeing once we get a certain amount of power cells. So this next level we're heading into is a kind of a boost pad level, a rush level where you want to keep hitting these boosts here. It'll keep you going fast, so you don't actually need to jump around and do the dashing that I normally do. You just need to kind of focus on your movement and then not running into things and jumping over gaps. So a little bit, it's a nice kind of break for your hands a little bit, but you can't just turn your brain off, because if you do, you'll fall off an edge or bump into something and lose some time. But it's all about cutting corners and making sure to hit these boost pads correctly. Like that one that's right underneath the ramp. By jumping at just the right time. So, yeah, usually get about a 39 on this one. Fairly consistently. You can get a 38 by doing some shenanigans, but no shenanigans allowed in this stream. But that's the second level of Carrot Fields. We'll be doing one more, and then the first boss fight will be interrupting us. So this game has fairly generous coyote time, and for folks that have not heard that before, coyote time is just like the concept of in a platformer, there is a amount of time where you can jump after falling off an edge. Also, Rick's door open. This is Rick. We never get to talk with him during the run, but maybe we'll see him after the run. But just the idea that there's a little bit of leeway, it's kind of what makes platformers feel a little bit more forgiving and fluid than they normally would. So we're gonna use that to our advantage by basically falling off an edge about halfway through this level, and jumping right before we run out of that coyote time. So we're gonna bump over here, just gonna take it a little bit safer. There you go. So you see we pretty much more or less jumped off of thin air. That's about as late as you can jump before it doesn't let you. And that skips, that's about 10 seconds of time save. It skips going all the way around on that windmill. It skips going around and jumping on some extra platforms, so helps out a decent bit. One of the tougher jumps you have to make during the run. Thankfully it's early on, so not too much of a pain. But yeah, so that's going to be all we're going to do for Carrot Fields for a little bit. We'll have to come back and do the final level at some point. But for now, that's it. Excuse me. Ancient Temple just unlocked, but before we can go to Ancient Temple, which is the next area, this UFO comes in. It's gonna hang out with us for a little bit. Powered by the power of ceiling fan, the strongest force known to man. The Peaceful Plaza is being attacked. So we gotta go use this big cannon over here to get out of there. Unfortunately, you know, you would think that an aircraft would be the one thing that can defeat a mole that burrows in the ground, but unfortunately, Peaceful Plaza has anti-air defenses, so unfortunately, we're able to get up here. You're also supposed to talk with the mayor during this. Also, this is Pukat. He's a turtle. It's a turtle pirate space thing. He's great. Good character. Happy nothing bad happens to him. But yeah, you're supposed to talk with the mayor, and the mayor's supposed to be like, yo, go in this cannon. And then the cannon activates, but you can just go in the cannon before that. You don't really have to talk with him. It's completely optional. So yeah, boss fights, we'll fight him a few times, but the boss fights are pretty much find the buttons, press the buttons. Unfortunately, he's designed his ship to both be really strong against moles, but also really weak against moles if they get on there. Like, it's hard for the mole to get there, but once it does, it's all over. My dogs agree, which is good to hear. So during the black screen, you can do some movement to get into the cannon. And then we're gonna go into Ancient Ruins because it was just repaired using the power cells that we just got. Oh, this will unlock, or this will go to the next area, and each area has its own little special things that are introduced. For Ancient Temple, it's these rolling blocks here. If you boost on them, you get a little bit of speed. Also, the brown one that's down there. Those aren't moving until you start dashing on them, and it will start it'll start moving whatever direction you're moving on it. It kind of gets weighed down by whatever side you're on, so later on you have to be careful of those and not rolling off of them. But for now, it's fairly basic. As you saw there, for this level we need to collect a certain amount of keys to unlock the door. That'll pop up a few times during the run, just as a little extra thing to collect as we go. I think there's like another 3 levels that have it as well. Something like that, so. That's the first level of Ancient Temple. Just kind of introducing you to all the rollers and showing off some of the stuff. So the next level for Ancient Temple, also we're going to unlock a lot of stuff for Rick's store that we're not going to go to. That's Scarlet. Scarlet is a skunk that challenges us to race her mecha moles, these like robot moles, every time we complete an area. We haven't completed an area yet, but we could have, technically. The reason we don't finish off the other area, we don't go to Carrot Fields and get the last level for that, is because the game teleports you to... usually when a cannon unlocks, the game will teleport you to it, and it makes it much more convenient just to do that cannon then, just because you're there anyways. So the game pretty frequently will interrupt you right before you're about to finish a cannon and do all 4 levels for it. So we do have to do a couple splits where we just kind of clean up the cannons that are remaining. So we'll be doing that about halfway through and then near the end of the run as well. But yeah, so that was second level for Ancient Temple. Really fun level. It's got all the rollers going through the water, but the main thing speedrunning wise is to kind of avoid going on those as much as possible, since you are pretty much on an auto scroller whenever you're on those. So anything you can do to avoid being on those is good to do. That's why we press the 1 button and get the radish, because it's just a little bit better speed wise. So this is down the mines. The 3rd level, Ancient Temple. If you've seen Indiana Jones or quite a few video games, you know what's happening right now. We have a rolling thing of death chasing after us, so we just need to stay ahead of that. Once we hit this checkpoint though, it gets stuck. Unfortunately, it has a brother that also chases after us, so... since the camera's facing this way, you have to pretty much count your jumps and time them the same every time. And at the end you can do this kind of fun thing of, if you dash along that corner, there's a radius where the game will send you to the mailbox, and it kind of goes really far out that direction. Yeah, we've seen Sonic Adventure 2, that's true. That is a very Sonic Adventure 2 level. But yeah, if you hug that wall there, it just immediately snaps through the mailbox. Because it doesn't want you going behind the mailbox, though you can do that in a few different ways. That's Ancient Temple for now. Like I said before, we do have 1 level left for that. We'll have to come clean that up later. But for now, the game is going to bring us over to here, which is Coconut Island, the 3rd area, and has some of the coolest speedrunning levels in the entire game, actually. So it's a lot of fun to do. But the levels are decently difficult as well. A lot of things to mess up, because Multi is not killed by lava, is hurt by lava and like other things, but Multi is killed by water instantaneously, like all game protagonists, unfortunately. It's really a shame. So obviously Coconut Island is just surrounded by water, so it can get a little spooky if you're not careful. So yeah, at the beginning we did a jump that skipped about half of the level. Sorry, I was like explaining Multi's allergy to water and completely forgot, but yeah, you can jump right as you're falling off that edge like we did before. It's much more forgiving than the windmill jump that we did before. So it's not quite as bad, but it skips a large portion level. I don't remember how much time it saves off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've done the normal route for that, because it's pretty easy to do compared to the windmill jump, so I never have to go for like a safer strat for it. The dogs are just so excited, like they really enjoy Coconut Island. They're just having a great time right now. And I agree with them. Coconut Island is great. So this is Bouncy Beach. If you ground pound on inflatables like we showed before, it gets you some extra height. I didn't think I was going to land that, but we did, so awesome. Also, if you dash into inflatables, you get some to preserve your speed from them, so we can use that there as well. And get our way through the level pretty quickly. So, another, like these are all like really good movement levels, a lot of stuff you have to do, a lot of different jumps. There's an even quicker strat on this level, though it's incredibly tough to do because it involves jumping as you go around a corner, not bumping a rock, and landing on a very thin edge, and then dashing and continuing to go a couple seconds faster. So not super viable to do in a full game run, but cool thing that exists. There's a very strong ILing community for the game. The game itself has leaderboards inside of it, and a lot of people enjoy sitting down with maps and kind of seeing what they can do. So waterfalls have an interesting property where right on the edge of them you can slide against them if you're at just the right place. So at the beginning of that level we just get a bunch of speed and use that to our advantage. You can actually keep your dash speed the entire way there. It's a little bit tough to do sometimes, but that went pretty well. Didn't have any issues with falling in the water or anything. Again, we're gonna bounce into that inflatable to get our dash speed, and we're going to get our way to the end there. If you push yourself against the front wall, you're able to slip around those little spiky things at the end and not get hit and keep all your speed. So that's really good. Been pretty clean so far. Not too much going wrong. There's a lot. There's a lot of ways to die in this game. There's, you know, you can be very creative with the ways that you decide to make mistakes, but we've all been spending a lot of time practicing things and helping each other out with it and trying to improve the game. So very big community ever. Shout out to Glint for putting a lot of time into Spiky Island, the third level for Coconut Island, because that level has layers of stuff on it. Not just the dash at the beginning, but just a lot of little details. That's kind of the fun part about it. There's a lot of like obvious big things for a lot of levels, but there's also a lot of small little details. Also, our turtle pirate space captain friend is here, and he wants to steal the entire tower this time. Instead of stealing all the energy that we're bringing back to the towers, he wants to just steal the entire tower, which, you know, hats off to him for just going big this time around. Unfortunately, he has not gotten any defenses from our cannon that's there, so we're gonna be able to jump on. As you see, he has made the layout of this a little bit more complicated this time. Not too bad. Also, as you press more buttons, he's gonna be shooting out more cannonballs during these fights, which can get a little sketchy, especially in later fights when there's a lot of buttons and he's firing out a ton of cannons. But with some nice jumps across the edge, you can make it through pretty quickly. If you die during those fights, it does restart you at the very beginning, so it can be a bit unfortunate if things go wrong. But yeah, so that's the second Phuket fight. It's definitely not the last we've seen of him. So, but yeah, next we have coming up is Yeti Ridge, which is also a fairly fun area. For this area, after the boss fight, it actually just forces you to come over here. You don't get a choice. If you try to enter one of the other cannons, our friend the beaver tells us to come over here. Taking a page at a Sub-Zero's. Is Sub-Zero the one that says get over? Okay, anyways. Mortal Kombat knowledge aside, this is the first level of Yeti Ridge. And it's another one of the boosting levels from before, if you remember from Carrot Fields. So we'll just be going through this. Just a lot of like optimizing your movement, making sure to hit these boost pads, and not falling off edges or getting hit by things. It's surprisingly easy, especially if you just like check out a little bit to mess up and jump too late or jump too early on something and just go careening off an edge. So, and then we gotta go just straight up a wall at the end here and just avoid these nice little slaloming movements, not getting bumped by things, and then we're done. Yeti Ridge has a lot of cool levels. I think casually it's probably the first level when people get to it that like can kind of kick, or not level, but first area that can kind of just like kick their butt. Like Yeti Ridge is pretty hard casually, and that's mostly because of, you know, Coconut Island had the the spinning platforms and just water everywhere and the inflatables. This area has like flipping platforms where every time you jump, the platforms that are lit with a certain color alternate. So like yellow platforms will activate when you jump, and then blue platforms will activate when you jump next. So they'll keep flipping back and forth. And it's very easy, even when you've run this game for a decent bit, to just forget and just to see a platform there and go, oh, I'm gonna jump towards that, and then it's just not there when you jump. Especially if you get like off cycle at something and you have to kind of like improvise a bit. But yeah, as you see, every time I jump, it keeps alternating. We're gonna do a little skip here to go across this edge, cut between those trees. We're gonna do another one here to just go straight down the middle there and avoid doing some kind of tedious alternating there. You can technically skip this button, but it saves about 2 or 3 seconds to do it, and it's harder to do than the windmill jump, for me at least. There's some ways to minimize it. If you press the button and then go for the jump, the platforms will come up and save you, but it's not worth the heartbreak of losing a run to 2-second time save in my mind. But yeah, so that went pretty well. I mean, the run in general has gone pretty well so far. So, first level, or second level of Yeti Ridge, sorry. Next level is named after someone named Bullets, definitely. It definitely isn't just happens to be named that. I paid them a lucrative amount of money to name this level after me, so I appreciate it. So it's my favorite level, obviously. So, bullet slalom, same alternating platforms. A lot of cannons. Ooh, we bunked on that tree a little bit. Very sad. A lot of cannons firing everywhere. Kind of just need to like squeeze your way in between them. We have the final boss of the game right here, which is these boxes, and they let us by. Boxes in this game break when they want to. You don't really get a choice of when they break. You're kind of just there long. You can run straight into. Ooh, that's unfortunate. You can run straight into boxes and just have them say no, and you just kind of have to like accept it. It's like if they don't want to break, they just won't break. Yeah, I jumped a tiny bit early there and didn't make the jump, so it's all right. So again, we're collecting keys right at the end here. It's actually a fun thing you can do if you set your game to 500 FPS. If you jump at just the right time, or you dash at just the right time, once you grab the third key, you actually just launch really fast towards the end. But I run at 120 just so that like things are kind of copacetic with consoles and PC folks. There's only one other thing that can happen on 120 or 500 FPS, which is the wheel in the first Ancient Ruins level will start rotating. You know, there was a big wheel at the end that was rotating horizontally, but it'll start rotating. It'll just start rotating the wrong direction. So anyways, so Frozen Maze, probably the hardest level of Yeti Ridge. Still have all the alternating platforms, but there's a lot more of it, and there's a lot of cannons here to ruin your day. Whenever I go up hills, hills can be a little bit touchy because it's hard to time your jumps up them, so what I just do is I just spam jump and dash a lot, and I don't have to worry about timing because there's no timing. You just mash a whole bunch, and multi just yells repeatedly every time it goes up hills. There's some hills that are short enough where you can just dash up them, and usually it's a better idea to do that so you have more control, especially for a level like this where every time you jump it switches where which of these platforms is lit, so you probably shouldn't just jump randomly, but you know, who cares? It's fine. We're just having a good time. So minus the one death in Yeti Ridge, I mean, things went pretty well. That was kind of a silly. I don't think I've actually ever died there before. But happens. Been a good run. Especially the last level of Yeti Ridge went pretty well. So we're almost at the halfway point of the run. Halfway point of the run's the third turtle fight, more or less. The second half of the run's got a lot of difficult stuff coming up with it, but we still have a few levels to clean up. I kind of talked about it before, but so this is the first one we actually completed, so you'll see we unlocked the race for Yeti Ridge. So we're going to do that for a couple extra levels now. So we still need to complete Ancient Temple. So we're going to do the 4th level for that. And then after that, we're also going to complete the last level for Carrot Fields, which is a very tough level. This is not too difficult. There's definitely some things you can die with, especially if you mistime your jumps. But for the most part, other than this thing right there that I run into, just because it's at that point it's just slower to actually try to actively avoid it. Just bonk your head into it. Those are the brown rotating platforms again, so those are the ones that will cause you to they'll start rotating whatever side of it you're on. So, but since we're speedrunning, we don't spend too much time on them, so they're not too big of a factor. Later on in the game, near the end, they'll make a comeback, and you have to be a lot more mindful of them because you spend a lot more time on them. So look out for that, I guess. Foreshadowing or something like that. But yeah, so that is Ancient Temple complete. I almost said Ancient Ruins. There's a level called Ancient Ruins on Ancient Temple, and it keeps throwing me off. So now we have Carrot Fields to finish off here. You see each time you finish an area off, it goes from glowing yellow to glowing white, so kind of indicates that for you. But yeah, this is a very, very cycle-based level, so you really need to go fast at the beginning to hit the correct cycle for it. Like barely getting on that windmill there. Barely making that jump there. That jump is the scariest part of the level for me by far. Get our way up here. I overshot that, so I had to ground pound to kill my momentum, or else I was going to go straight off the edge, which would have been really funny, but kind of tragic. But now we're kind of locked in the cycle that we're on. There's not really anything we can do to speed it up now. But you have to make sure not to jump too early for that, because that, for some reason, that cycle is really slow compared to the cycle for like everything else with those same kind of similar blocks. So you just have to sit there and ignore the urge to jump too early, because it's very easy to jump too early and then fall down and lose a ton of time. It's one of the only times in the game you have to show patience. So everything went pretty well with that cleanup. But that gets us to 15 power cells, which unlocks the new sections of it. There you see that auxiliary tower that's kind of in the distance behind this one. That is the what's it called? That is now going to be unlocked. You can't really do anything in the actual auxiliary tower area. It's more of a visual thing than anything. You can go in that area, but there's just nothing to do. But the more important thing with this unlocked after 15 power cells is it's actually going to unlock a new set of cannons right here. So 3 new areas. We'll be exploring 2 of them. The third area, since we only need 30 power cells, we'll do some math here. You need 30 power cells. Each cannon gives you 5 because there's a race associated with them. So in order to get 30 power cells, you just need to beat 6 of the cannons, because 6 times 5 is 30. So we just ignore the last area, which is really sad, because like it's the magma area is kind of cool. It's got some fun stuff going on with it, but unfortunately, the magma area does not get any love during the any percent run. So this is our turtle friend again. He is trying to be sneaky and absorb power from the side of the island. But thankfully our bat friend is helping us out, and Batty sees that he's over here. There's a whole conundrum of why doesn't Batty do all the mail deliveries, especially near the end of the game when we have a very vertical level. I don't know why Batty doesn't do mail deliveries. There's no reason that I know of why Batty just kind of lets us deliver mail. Because in the story, the bat can also carry multi, which means you could probably carry the reset codes. So, I don't know. I think Batty's secretly actually a villain. It's just really deep storytelling. There's some really deep lore for this game, so you have to really pay attention, so. I don't think Batty could ground pound the buttons. I don't know, I've never seen Batty ground pound before. Oh, Batty also sells hearts on each level. Batty will sell like extra gold hearts that last only for that level, but they give you extra health. So, if you've ever played Spyro, Batty is basically this game's version of Hunter from the Spyro series, where... No, Scarlet's this game's version of... Scarlet, the skunk, has power cells but won't give them to us unless we do something for her. So she's more the hunter of this game. So Batty's more like money bags, I guess? I don't know. You have to pay money to Batty for stuff that would help you save the world. Batty is Sparks? Kind of. Kind of? I don't know. Maybe the universes are connected? Who knows? It's the lore's very deep is what I'm saying. This is Dry Canyon, by the way. Dry Canyon's got a lot of cool levels as well. Cactus Pool is a very competitive IL level. There's a lot of people that have submit IL times for this, and the record for it's gone back and forth quite a bit. As you can see from me, like taking a hit from that, I am not quite as good. I had a bit of a rough go at this level this time around, but still pretty fast. You do a jump off of the bridge there to skip a significant part of the level. It skips about half of it, and then you do another jump after you go up there to skip the other half of it, more or less. So it's a pretty fast level. You can do some damage boosting and other stuff. Unfortunately, I took a hit early on, so I wanted to play it a little bit safer and not go with the damage boost. So yeah, that is the first level of Dry Canyon. Again, we're going to unlock all these different cosmetics for the store. And we have the second level coming up. The second level is another one of the boost levels, like the booster pad levels, the rush levels, the race levels, I guess. Not race levels a little later. This level's a little bit weird because of the quicksand. I guess there's a few mechanics in these levels now. There's these quicksand that kind of moves you a direction and moves objects. Well, obviously the cactuses are here as well. Those are kind of the general ideas of Dry Canyon, is the moving sand, and then I guess it's not really quicksand. You don't sink in it, but the shifting sand, and then the cactus, and then also the cactus balls that are around. So yeah, for this level, because of the shifting sand, you have you actually speed up more if you keep dashing, which I think might also be true for another boost level, but it's especially true for this one that it speeds up a bunch of time. Because for all the other ones, you don't really do a bunch of dashing. You just kind of try to hit all the boost pads. There is a jump through the middle there. It doesn't save a ton of time. It's not super worthwhile to do, but like, yeah. If you're on a bad run and you're hurting for time save, you can go down the middle if you want to. Get that little bit of time save or kill the run and restart because of that. It's there to do, but it's not a big time save at all. It's more to bait you into going for something silly. But yeah, so that's the second level of Dry Canyon. We have the third one coming up, which is a very interesting level for not all the wrong reasons, but for some unique reasons. This level, for all intents and purposes, is an auto-scroller, but there is a skip to this auto-scroller that has been done by 2 people, I believe. Only 2 people have done it, and it involves hitting this cactus ball, or hitting any of the cactus balls, and then jumping right as you're underneath of it and like hitting the hitbox in a bit of a weird way, and it causes this damage boost that sends you up into the air, and you can skip this auto-scroller. It is extremely tight to do and difficult to do in this level. So unfortunately not a consistent thing we can go for, but you know, we can mess around and go for it a couple times just to see what happens. But yeah, there's no real consistent way of doing it, but it's a nice little break. You can collect all the radishes if you want to. The radishes help you unlock cosmetics. Whoops, I got stuck inside the platform there. Interesting. Anyways, what was I saying? You get the different radishes from each level, and there is another category where you collect all the power cells and all the radishes, which kind of has a unique different route for each of these levels to collect all of them. But also as you get radishes, it unlocks different outfits for you to buy. So we just kind of collect ones that are kind of there's a few that are in the way and just kind of happen to bump into them, sort of thing. All right, so we didn't complete Dry Canyon. We'll have to go pick that up later, the last level for it. But we do have Spooky Swamp here. And Spooky Swamp has some of the coolest levels in the game. This and Coconut Island are both, or Coconut Beach? Coconut Area of Sand, that is not Tri Canyon, are both very cool. So first things first, we jump onto this tree for this first level. Then we're going to jump across to another tree. We're going to dash towards this cannon, and then we're at the end of the level. So the level is like a big loop, so you can actually kind of see the end at the beginning. So by climbing in the tree, you're able to kind of cut across to the end of the level from the beginning. It looks really kind of silly and fun. It's difficult to get up in the trees and kind of control your movement there because you're bouncing instead of dashing around like usual. But that first tree skip isn't as like really obscenely difficult as it looks. It's actually pretty accessible. The first jump is probably, well, the jump across from one tree to the other is probably the hardest part of that. But yeah, so if you pick up the game, you can probably do that. Spend like an hour or two on it learning it, and you can probably do it. So definitely do that if it looks fun. We have Vanishing Bridges, and this is a good introductory to all the different things that are going on in these levels. So you've got the vanishing platforms that flip between being solid and not. You also have invisible platforms that we would have seen it in the first level, but since we skipped everything in it, we didn't actually get to see them. But those are the two main things. Also, it's got a bunch of like purple water everywhere, purple swamp water, covering everything that'll instantly kill you. But yeah, the other thing I was talking about, the invisible platforms, is there's platforms that aren't visible until you jump onto them, and they appear once you get really close. So in the speedrun, you have to just kind of know where they are and jump onto them and just trust that they're there. And it's really scary for the next turtle fet we're going to do after this next level. But this next level we're going to do is a very like movement intensive, kind of precise level. It's one of my favorite levels. I put a decent bit of time into this. There used to be a skip on this level where you used a tree to circumvent the entire point of this level, which is getting 5 keys. But that is gone now, so we will be doing this the old-fashioned way. So we're going to jump onto this signpost to pop our way up to this key. So we already have 3 keys pretty quickly. But things slow down a little bit now. We're going to... Ooh, that tree likes to jump out and grab you, so you have to be a bit careful. Go up here and get this one. We're actually going to intentionally get hit here, so we have iframes. We don't have to worry about anything hitting us. I don't know that I gotta jump. If you don't jump as the cutscene starts, instead of getting your jump, you just fall like that. So it's good to know if you jumped or not, because you have to do different movement after that. The pauses actually can throw you off a lot when it shows the door opens. It can kind of mess your movement up a decent bit. So yeah, that's Scavenger Hunt. Pretty clean. Is a good spooky swamp overall. We do have to eventually do the last level for it, but same thing with Dry Canyon. We're not going to be able to finish that off because our turtle friend's coming back. And he's not very happy because we've kind of defeated him 3 times. So he's tried to absorb all the energy. He's tried to take the tower itself. He's tried to like sneak around the side and like absorb energy from the island. So he's only got one real choice left of what he's gonna do. So this is the final cannon being unlocked. We're never gonna go inside there. So there's only one option left, which is attacking the tower and just destroying it and just demolishing Peaceful Plaza. So that's pretty much what's going on now. So we need to get on there. The funny thing is, there's actually a cycle for when you can get onto his UFO, because he's moving around so much while he's shooting this cannon that you can only fire out of the cannon once standing in the right spot. So by reloading area, it puts us a little bit closer to the cannon, so we save time with the movement, but also it resets the cycle so that he's in the right spot when we get in this cannon where we can shoot immediately at him. Because you can get here in a really bad cycle where he's right there, and you have to wait for him to go around, go around, go around, go around, so this is the last turtle fight. Last time we get to see Phuket. And it's a tough one, because all those invisible platforms we were talking about before and all those vanishing platforms are here for this fight. And you just kind of have to trust yourself and just jump and know that they're going to be there. And it's one of the more anxiety-inducing things in the run, is just like, they're there. I have to believe that they're there. I have to trust that I'm not going to like jump towards nothing. And you have to do it again. You know, the second time you have to do it. Right here. And you have to just trust that that platform's going to be there. And it never is not scary. I've had some very close calls with those platforms before. But that's the last button, so that fight's over. Pretty clean. Pretty good. So yeah. We have finally destroyed the ship after like disconnecting power from it so many times. Yeah. He's just gonna go off into the distance. And yeah, he's just gonna explode. He's just and just everyone kind of ignores the fact that he exploded and just goes about their day, and we're talking about reconnecting the power again. Rest in peace, Phuket. One of the best characters in the game. But anyways, so we have our final cleanup of everything that we're doing. We have to get the last level in a few of them. The first one is Spooky Swamp, and we have this lovely tree jump where you can't actually see the tree until you've already jumped on it. So you have to jump backwards onto it. We're gonna take our time with this, get onto the canopy, and jump here. And you have to wait for the right cycle for those vanishing platforms, because otherwise if you jump at the wrong time, the platforms won't be there and you will just jump to your death. And it's really awful to have happen during a run. But yeah, so that's pretty clean. You can do a very, very fast cycle for this level, but if your tree climb is slow, it's better not to risk it and try to go for that jump, because otherwise you'll just be dead, and being dead's not good. It actually loses you time to die, surprisingly. Dying bad. So anyways, that's the... We'll be doing the Spooky Swamp race. I'll talk about kind of why we do races in this game instead of doing the other area. But we unlocked the race for Spooky Swamp, so we'll be doing that. But until then, we're doing Tropical Pizza Bay, which is like the rest of Coconut Beach. It's really good. It's a really fun level. It's got some cool stuff going on with it. Oh, it is Coconut Island. I shouldn't have, like, not trusted myself. The cycle does take a little bit to get going, though, so we have enough time to, like, oh, I didn't break both boxes! Oh, this run's cursed. I didn't break both boxes. What do I do now? The carrots let you buy cosmetics, but they also let you buy hearts during levels, and they're very expensive to buy hearts, so you could technically use it during the run. There is, especially for the final area, some potential use out of them, though in the way I do these levels I don't buy any. because it takes a while for Betty to give you the hearts and to like take all the carrots, so it just doesn't really work into it for me, but it is a possible thing you can do. But Batty charges you a lot. He, I don't know what he does with the carrots. I don't know what bats do with carrots. Wasn't there a children's book about a bat that like sucked the color out of vegetables and stuff? Okay, Coconut Island's done. Or is that a bunny? No, yeah, it was a bunny. It was anyways, so we have Dry Canyon coming up. We have another cool level. The first level for Dry Canyon I really like, but I also really like this one. There's a lot of like kind of sketchy jumps you have to do. Like this one. And then followed up right by that one. There's a lot of like debris around each of these levels where there's like rubble and other little things that if you bump against them, they just kill your momentum. So you have to be very cautious of that, because there's definitely a few places where there's a pebble or like a little guardrail, and if you bump against it, you just go straight off the edge, and it's like, it's hilarious, but in the moment you feel like just really sad and really angry at the concept of pebbles. It was a bunny? Okay, good, thank you. I'm being told in my ear by the lovely folks there that it was in fact a rabbit or a bunny. What is the difference actually? What's the difference between rabbits and bunnies? I think they're the same thing, it's just a different word. Anyway, so this is Scarlet. Like I said before, Scarlet is pretty much Hunter. Scarlet is going to make you earn the power cells that Peaceful Plaza really needs by doing these races. Her mecha moles are not the best. They are a little slow. They're not the quickest bunch. There we go. So we'll do that skip again. We're kind of going back through these levels we've done before. So this was the third level for excuse me, for carrot fields. And as long as we beat the mecha moles, which if we did not, like, if we somehow do not beat the mecha moles, that'd be very surprising. On these levels, for example, you can wait completely stationary on the third race level for this, the Coconut Island race level. You can stand completely still for like 35 seconds and then start going, and you can still beat them if you do all the skips and do all the speedy stuff. It's kind of hilarious. So we're not really racing against the mecha moles during speedruns. We're kind of just trying to do the level as quickly as we can. You see them for the first couple seconds and then they're kind of gone. It's really funny to watch them though. They just do some very, very fun and interesting things. This happens sometimes where like two of these text boxes will pop up for Scarlet. You do not actually get 2 power cells, unfortunately. It'd be really nice if you did, but unfortunately you just get the 1. So again, we're gonna do this little skip across here. That actually is like, that's probably one of the best levels to start with speedrunning wise, is doing that one that I just did, like this one we're doing right now actually, because you gotta do that skip there. It's not as brutal as like the other possible skips you can do, where you have to jump like right as you're about to fall to your untimely death. You can jump pretty early, and you'll still make it. And there's even like a little lifeboat there. If you fall, you can at least bonk into it and save your life. So not the end of the world. But yeah, so the reason we do the races, I haven't talked about that yet. The reason we do the races is because, you know, when you enter levels, you have that whole entire cannon cutscene where you go in the cannon, you get shot out of the cannon, and then after them you have the cutscene of like the postcard and getting shot back through the cannon and all this other stuff. And when you do the races, you just immediately get into it. There's obviously the countdown and stuff like that, but there's very little time between the levels, and they're very quick because of that. So for that reason, we're doing these race levels to get our power cells at the end. And because of that, unfortunately, we do not do the magma area. One fun little quirk of the race levels is because the bots are programmed to go the way they go. All of them are on a kind of set cycle, and the level's cycle doesn't start until the race starts, so that they don't run into cannonballs and things and not get hurt by them and stuff like that. So the cycle's a little, you can see like the cactus balls there are frozen. How's it going, Zeb? But yeah, I have a chance to redeem myself for Cactus Pool, because I didn't do so well last time. Much better. And we even got the little cactus boost. Alright, so that's Dry Canyon. We have Spooky Swamp left, and then we're done with all the races we're doing. Right? Right? Yes. I know the levels. I've played this game a couple times. And the level we do for Spooky Swamp is unfortunately not any of the ones with tree skips. It's Vanishing Bridges, which isn't too awful of a level, but it's easy to accidentally make a mistake on it and fall into the purple water of doom, so we're gonna avoid doing that. Another aspect of these is there's also not checkpoints. If you die, you just restart the race immediately. So it's good. Again, dying is bad. Don't die. If we've learned anything from all the commentary so far, don't die. It is dangerous to your health. Alright, so that is all 30 power cells, which is going to power the final cannon. And I just noticed that during that cutscene where it's showing the final cannon getting powered, it's showing the wrong cannon being powered. It's showing Spooky Swamp getting powered instead of the King Rat cannon. Also, by the way, King Rat is the big villain. He was the person that was telling Pukat what to do and made all the UFOs for him and all that stuff. So he's his boss. So we're gonna go have a conversation with him. We actually got detention orders for him, so we're going to mail him his detention order. And obviously, being the upstanding citizen that he is, King Rat is just gonna like listen to us when we serve him the detention orders. He's just gonna come quietly. Don't worry about the fact that there's a huge tower here and all these obstacles. So this is Chuck E. Cheese, the villain of this entire story. This is the hardest part of the game, especially casually. Also speedrunning wise, it's very tough. There are basically almost no checkpoints for like 2 minutes here. So it's fairly challenging, and there's a lot of like cycles you have to hit with this, and if you fall in the lava rises up with you, but it rises kind of slowly sometimes. So it's easy for it to sometimes be really low, and if you fall in the lava, you're kind of dead. And being dead, I may have mentioned it before, is bad. So we try to avoid it. So yeah, we're gonna get through here, and you'll notice these are all kind of like rehashings of earlier areas. It's a big medley of all the other areas we've been in. So this is Ancient Ruins with all these rolling platforms. Once we get up here, it's going to be a little bit more of Ancient Ruins, but then after that we'll get into the Coconut Island portion of it. So it's a cool medley of things. You guys can enjoy it. I'm just going to sit here and be like, ooh, I almost slid off. That would have been funny. The inflatables here. I didn't get any speed, unfortunately, going up the inflatables. Usually you can dash and you just get sent all the way up them. These little things here. Little spiky things. We have one sketchy jump here. We'll see how it goes. It worked. And then if we dash at the right time and bounce against those, we keep going. There's a checkpoint there. I don't hit it because I actually managed to not get hurt for that entire minute and a half. The only reason to get that checkpoint is to heal, because there's another checkpoint up here, but this checkpoint doesn't heal you. So actually going through that minute and a half without getting hurt is pretty uncommon. That doesn't happen very often when I do these runs. I'd say like 80% of the time I take at least a hit going up, usually like 2 hits. Pretty good. So similar to the Phuket boss fights, we have to hit the button, but there's only one button this time, so much easier. Whoops. Okay, I can't do this now. There's a strat where you take 2 hits there through the lava, but because I got hit early, I'm gonna have to do some finagling around. Yeah, don't say. Does anyone actually say finagling? Is that a word people use? Anyway, so we took him out. We beat the first floor. He's gonna fly upwards, but which is weird because I think there's a ceiling above him. There's like lava above him, probably. Either way, so like, I don't know where he went. I guess he's got something up there. I don't know how this tower works. It's confusing. It's difficult. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, first floor done. We can do a fun thing here with leaderboards, where we're going to open the leaderboard, and then during this cutscene we can close the leaderboard, and it lets us move during it. It also messes up the camera a little bit, but that's just kind of like a bonus fun thing. We're gonna take a hit here. Definitely intentional. I didn't just run into it for funsies. So now we're running into stuff from Yeti Ridge, and we're running into stuff from Dry Canyon here. Just bringing back all the different things from all those different areas. So I don't know why there's sand in here. It's a bit of a questionable decoration choice, but I mean, have you seen what King Rat's wearing? Like, dude does not know style at all. And sand in your tower seems like a terrible idea in general, but so we had to get hit, so we're gonna grab that checkpoint just for health. Go up the elevator. It's been pretty good so far for this King Rat. We'll see how it goes. So yeah. I want the cycle to be, I want the platform, the switching platform here to be on yellow. It's a little bit easier, a little bit faster. So he's telling us lots of lore stuff. He said on guard, which is French. This is actually a really good run right now. I'm just kind of like sandbagging it a little bit and not trying to worry too much about it. I'm currently on record pace with this run. For being honest, I'm 100% on record pace with this. I'm probably on sub 101 pace as well, which nobody's got sub 101 so far. So we'll see what happens. I could die. If I die on King Rat's tower, it's fine, it happens. It does lose you a lot of time though. The death in the first floor, if that happens ever, you can lose up to like a minute and a half. So not an uncommon thing to have happen either. So again, we're gonna do the leaderboard thing. Shoutouts to me. I don't know how I got the best time on this, but I do. Lets us move just a little bit earlier. The camera is at a weird angle there where moving early isn't really beneficial, but it's a little bit. So gonna go across to here, get hit twice. So now we have 1 HP, which is not really what I want because there's a lot of level to go, and I don't want to die. But dying is a lot of fun, so we'll think about it. Dying is a potential thing. I'm actually gonna take this pretty safe. I usually kind of go really a little bit too risky, one might say, for that. But we can do that at least, and that's kind of cool. We're gonna go behind the cannon just so it has like no chance of hitting us. And that is that floor. Cool. The floors get shorter and shorter, so this one's not even a minute long. And there's no boss fight. You do 3 different boss fights this entire time. But yeah, losing my voice. I gotta get through the last few, whoops, I almost messed up there. That would've been funny. So now we have the final portion of the run. The final level. And we're gonna do the leaderboard thing again, but we're gonna do it in a bit of a different way. We can actually move with this leaderboard on our screen, and we're gonna do something for like a very small time save, which is I have to play with this leaderboard up for the entire final difficult, stressful section. That's unfortunate. Okay. Thankfully the leaderboard's transparent, otherwise this wouldn't really be viable to do. Whoops. I think I'm gonna actually take an intentional death at the top. Because I would like my health and I'd like to do this as safe as possible. I don't need to take a death here, but... Oh, nice, I spawned in the lava. Interesting. Oh no, well this is not going well. We call this choking. So what choking is when you're playing a game well and then you stop playing well. You don't want it to happen during your speedruns because then you don't get a good time. But it can happen. It happens to the best of us. Yeah, 55 isn't really the time we wanted for that. But either way, so we did finish King Rat's Tower. And now we are at the final epilogue of this entire game. So, just like the tutorial at the beginning, we're gonna do all the little skips and stuff. But yeah, just to summarize the run and the game in general, I mean, so Mammal, lots of fun platforming, nice looking game, lots of fun. Lots of difficult levels and interesting kind of mechanics going on with it. Just cool stuff in general. Good times. So yeah. This is vaguely a marathon submission video, so if this is being submitted to a marathon, I mean like... whoops. Yeah, I mean this is also the current record for the game, so... If you're not watching this for a marathon, thanks for hanging out for that. But yeah, that's Mammal.